Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when the noise dies down, the voices around you fade, the cheers, the criticisms, the doubts, they all settle into silence, and in that stillness there is only you. That's the moment when belief begins, not the kind that shouts from rooftops or begs for applause. I'm talking about a quiet conviction, a still, small voice that says, "I am enough." That voice doesn't always come easy. In fact, most days you'll wrestle with everything that tells you you're not ready, not worthy, not capable. But let me tell you something. You are not your fear. You are not your failures. You are not your past. You are the one who wakes up every morning and chooses to keep going. That alone, that steady walk through the storm, that is belief. The world will offer you 1,000 reasons to give up. It will measure you by what you have, what you look like, or how fast you get there. But self-belief, that doesn't come from the world. It comes from somewhere deeper, from scars you've survived, from trials you've faced, from the quiet dignity of choosing to try again. Some folks think you need all the answers before you start, that you need to have it all figured out. But belief isn't certainty, it's movement. It's putting one foot in front of the other, even when the path disappears into the fog, even when you're tired, especially when you're tired. And I'll tell you something else. When you believe in yourself, you give others permission to believe in themselves too. Your light makes the way clearer for someone still searching for theirs. So if no one's told you today, let me say it now, you are capable. You are worthy. You are more than enough. The world doesn't need another perfect person. It needs someone who's willing to be real, to be bold, to be true to who they are. Believe in yourself, not because the road will be easy, but because you are the one strong enough to walk it. And that, my friends, is enough. Belief begins in silence is a phrase that carries the weight of both mystery and truth. In a world filled with endless noise, of opinions, expectations, distractions, and comparisons, it is in the quiet that something sacred is born, the personal conviction that you are enough, that you matter, that you are capable of becoming more. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of self. It is the sacred space where the noise of the world is quieted, and the whisper of your own soul becomes loud enough to hear. From childhood, we are taught what to think, what to say, how to act. We're filled with other people's voices, parents, teachers, society, media, and somewhere in that flood of noise, we begin to lose track of our own. We begin to question ourselves, compare ourselves, criticize ourselves based on external standards. And so, belief, true personal belief, cannot grow in noise. It cannot bloom under the constant weight of opinions and validation seeking. It requires solitude, stillness, silence. When you are alone with your thoughts, when there is no one to impress or disappoint, you are free to face yourself. That moment, though often uncomfortable, is where belief begins. You are no longer acting for the crowd. You are sitting with the person behind the mask. And in that raw stillness, you have the chance to hear something you've forgotten, the sound of your own voice, the beating of your own heart, the strength of your own soul. It's in that silence that you meet yourself again, and you begin to trust the person you find. Most people search for belief in external achievement, titles, money, praise. But belief built on noise is unstable. It disappears the moment the world changes its tune. One day you're loved, the next you're forgotten. One day you're celebrated, the next you're criticized. But belief that is born in silence is not dependent on applause. It is rooted, it is honest, it is yours. The silence isn't always peaceful. Sometimes it feels like fear. Sometimes it brings old wounds to the surface. But those moments of stillness allow the truth to rise, the truth that you've been through more than people know, the truth that you've fallen and still stood up, the truth that, no matter what they said about you, you're still here. That's the beginning of belief, not pride, not ego, but resilience, the realization that even in your brokenness, you still carry light. Even in your uncertainty, there is something in you that refuses to give up. In silence, you remember who you were before the world told you who to be. You remember dreams you buried. You remember strength you forgot you had. You remember the fire And as you sit with that fire, something begins to rise. An inner voice that doesn't shout, but speaks with calm certainty. I can. It doesn't need evidence. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't even need to be understood. It just is. That voice is your belief, rising from the silence like dawn over the dark. Belief built in silence is tested by noise. The world will always try to drown it out with doubt and fear. But when belief is born in the stillness, it doesn't need defending. It knows its source. It knows the depth it came from. It knows that it was not handed to you, but earned in moments of quiet surrender. When no one was watching, when everything in you wanted to give up, when you looked in the mirror and decided to keep going anyway. There's power in those silent moments, power in turning inward, power in shutting off the noise and sitting still with your own soul. Most people run from that silence because they fear what they'll find. But those who are brave enough to listen find something greater than fear. They find truth, and truth, when held long enough, becomes belief. It is in silence that vision is born, in silence that goals become sacred, in silence that clarity comes, not the clarity that tells you exactly how the journey will unfold, but the kind that says you're ready to take the first step. The kind that says even if you fall, you'll rise. Even if no one believes in you, you will believe in yourself. That's the kind of belief that can't be taken from you, because it wasn't given by the world. It was built in your bones, forged in your solitude. Greatness has always begun in silence. Before the speech, there was thought. Before the masterpiece, there was vision. Before the triumph, there was doubt. Every mountain climbed, every storm endured. Every story of strength started the same way in silence, the silence of discipline, the silence of preparation, the silence of private struggle, the silence where belief is tested, shaped, and sealed. You don't need everyone to understand your journey, you just need to walk it, and the strength to walk it begins in the quiet moments you spend with yourself. Every time you choose to get up, even when the world isn't watching, you are proving something. Not to them, to yourself. You are telling your soul that it matters, that you matter, that your life, your voice, your presence has meaning. Belief begins in silence because the silence removes the illusion. You are no longer performing. You're no longer pretending. You're no longer reacting. You're just being. And in that pure state of being, something honest rises. An awareness, a courage, a dignity that says, I am here and I am worthy. And that is more than enough. You don't need to wait for someone to come and validate you. The world may never give you a standing ovation. It may never hand you the microphone or the spotlight. But belief was never about that. It's not built on praise. It's built on persistence. The kind of persistence that says, I will show up for myself even if no one else does. The kind of persistence that refuses to die, even when dreams take longer than expected. The kind that doesn't need a crowd because it has something more eternal, conviction. The irony of belief is that the more the world tries to shake it, the deeper it grows. Because when it comes from silence, it doesn't just sit in your mind, it settles in your spirit. It becomes your compass. It becomes your foundation. It becomes the part of you that no storm can touch. Don't be afraid of the silence. Don't run from the stillness. That space you avoid might be the very place where your greatness is waiting to be born. Let the world rush. Let the noise rage. Let the expectations echo. You sit still. Be quiet. Listen. Listen for the voice you've forgotten. Listen for the strength you buried. Listen for the wisdom that only silence can teach. Because in that stillness, belief is forming, and when it does, you won't need to announce it. You'll live it, and the world will feel it. The world honors those who believe in themselves not because of what they've done, but because of what they've dared to hold in the quiet. That inner knowing, that inner fire, that quiet, unshakable truth that says, I am more than my fear, I am more than my past, I am more than what they see, I am enough. Belief doesn't begin in applause. It begins in the space between your doubts, the moment between the breakdown and the breakthrough. It begins the first time you stop waiting to be saved and choose to trust yourself instead. The first time you stop looking outward and turn inward. The first time you stop running from the silence and start listening to it. That's where belief is born, not in noise, but in stillness, not in crowds, but in solitude, not in answers, but in the quiet courage to keep asking the right questions. The courage to look yourself in the eyes and say, I don't have it all figured out, but I believe I can grow. I believe I can heal. I believe I can become. That kind of belief is not loud. It's not flashy, but it is real, and it is powerful. And once you carry it, the world cannot take it from you.